Good afternoon. Hope you're all well on this quite blustery day here in Auckland. A bit of rain, bit of wind, lots of wind actually. So I'm popping on today with my normal weekly crafting session. And I've got one thing to announce. Stampin' Up! Have, in honour of World Scrapbooking Day, which is coming up, I think it's the 3rd of May, they're having 2 times rewards on purchases for the next two, from tomorrow and Saturday. So Friday, Saturday, anytime you place an order at Stampin' Up, you'll get double your normal rewards points. And this is something new that they've introduced recently. They've changed their rewards program. And so at the moment now, for every $40 in New Zealand that you spend, and it has to be $40 is the minimum before you start earning the rewards, you get 10% back. So during this promotion, you'll get 20%. So if you spend that $40, then you'll get $8 to spend on a future order. So it's a great promotion. Just for 2 days, the 2nd and 3rd of May. And the other thing that's coming up is starting on the 6th of May for the whole month, there's a fabulous joining offer, and they quite often, anytime's a great time to join. You get lots of freebies for the amount that you pay to become a demonstrator. But this special is even better. So you pay the normal 189 New Zealand dollars, and you can choose $361 worth of products. And those products can be will be from the new annual catalogue and any online exclusives and kits and that sort of thing. So basically anything that Stampin' Up! Is selling, you can include that in that 361 worth of product. And there's no obligation to do classes or do Facebook Live like me or anything like that. You can simply join to make your own purchases. So if you want to talk to me about that, then please get in touch. That offer runs from the 6th of May when the catalogue starts until the end of May, 31st of May. Right, so let's turn around, find the right button here. And today I wanted to show you a new suite. So this is in the new catalogue, and it's a sneak peek of Florals and Blooms suite. And I just start off with the DSP. So this is a really pretty floral. Got florals on these 6 sides, and then when we spin them over, without making you dizzy, we've got some plainer sort of patterns that coordinate on the reverse. So that is the 12 by 12 DSP. I'll just go back to the florals because they're so pretty. Beautiful floral patterns. And with in the suite, there's also 2 stamp sets and 2 sets of dies. So one called Pretty Florals, and that's the dies that go with that. And there's extra dies in the set that so you've got all the ones to cut out these various stamped images, but then you've got extra dies as well. And then going with it is the Sweet Blooms, and this has got lovely words in it and some other flowers as well to add in. And there's dies that go with that as well. So it's like a double suite of amazingness. Right. So I'm going to get started. Oh, I haven't actually prepared. Oh, yes, I've kind of got my card base here. Okay. So there's actually a sample on page 40 in the catalogue, which I can't actually show you at the moment because the catalogue's not live yet. So, but it's essentially a sort of a card / box. It's sort of got a bit of height to it. And they've put flowers in there from this suite. And I wanted to recreate that, but I didn't have the die that they've used to create the shape. And it reminded me of something I'd done a wee while ago, a couple of years ago actually, and that was a Criss-Cross card. So I thought I would resurrect that design, and that's what we'll make today. So I've got my base here, and it's actually a little bit shorter than a normal card base for me. I usually do There's one I can just show you at the back of here. So that's my normal size that I do, which is half an A4. So I've just made this one slightly shorter, and that's because I'm going to have a few things hanging over the top, and I wanted it to still fit in an envelope. So the first thing, and this is one of the papers that I had a piece of, and I thought this would do great as my background for my flowers. So I'm going to put that on first. Thank you if you're joining me live. Lovely to have you along. I haven't actually checked my sound. I probably should do that, shouldn't I? Just to double check. I thought I'd wing it. You know what? If you wing it, something might go wrong. So let me just live. Ah, good. Very good. Okay. I haven't had a sound issue for a while. Touch wood. Oh, there's some wood. Okay, so the next thing is the crisscross part. So what this was is just a square of the same DSP as my card base, and that was, I think it was 9.5 centimetres, but I'll have the measurements in the tutorial that goes out. And then I've simply cut that from corner to corner and created the two pieces, two triangles, and then it's up to you which way you put them on. So you can have the sort of the join, if you like, on that side, or you can have that one on top and have the join on that side. And I actually think that way, to my eye, is slightly less visual. This one seems to stick out a bit more visually for me. So I think I'll do it this way over. Maybe it's because I'm sort of looking from that angle, I don't know. So I'm going to put these on, but I'm going to leave it so that I can tuck things underneath. So my plan is to have this now bursting, this whole area at the top, bursting with flowers. So I'm going to put my pieces on, and I'm just not going to put glue too close to that long sort of edge, so that I can tuck all my little flowers. So I might come about down like that. And I'm just lining this up with the edge of the card. And I'll do the same on this side. Just come down a bit. Okay, so we've formed the front now of the card, and you can see that it sort of looks like an envelope shape as well, which is kind of sort of what they had done on that sample on page 40 of the catalogue. So now I have actually gone ahead and made a whole lot of flowers, which are here, which I'll just bring in. But I did want to point out a few things as we go along. So the first thing is the set is a two-step stamping set, and what that means is, if I just get the set back, these ones that are more solid, that's your sort of your first step, if you like. That's going to sort of colour the image, and that is what I've done here with the lighter shade of blue. And then this one here, or actually in this case, if we show the right, if I show the right floral, then this one here is the sort of the detail. And so what I did is I stamped this one off, so it's a lighter version of the same colour, and then this one I've done full strength. So that's two-step stamping. And basically I'll show you, let's do another one of that colour. So that was done with Summer Splash. And what I've been finding is my ink pads are very inky. So what I've done is you just grab an old spoon that you don't care about, and you can just move some of the ink away from one end of your pad. So it's still there. I've just moved it all up to the top, and then I'll just give my spoon a wipe. I can use that for another colour later. Then when I come in with my stamp, it's still a little bubbly actually. It's these bubbles on the surface that you don't want, but I'm stamping this off, so it should be okay. So I'm just going to stamp that now just on something scrap, just to get rid of that first layer of colour, but I've still got lots there. You can see that on the stamp. And when I stamp it, I've just got a lighter version now. This one's actually darker than the ones I did before. And then the two-step part is just a case of, I can go for that darker end now if I want to of ink, because this is my detail. And you've just really got to hover it over that first stamp and then just position it so it's over the top, and then you get the detail. And then that one cuts out with dies, that cuts each individual flower head for you, and then they get stuck onto the stamped leaves that was also die cut. So pretty easy, straightforward, and like I say, that all cuts out in one go, so that's nice and quick too. And then I had another tip for you. I found that when I did these flowers here, the one in the catalogue, when I tried to do it to match, and when I stamped the background one, it was just too dark, even though I'd stamped it off. So I've done a different technique for that. I have, let me get that same piece of paper. So I've stamped just the detailed image this time, and I don't need to worry about the ink, hopefully. It's not too dark, no, that's great. And then I've just got a block, and you can just put some ink onto a block like that. And this is called a blender pen, and it's exactly the same at both ends. And I don't know what's inside there, but it's something making the tip wet, and it's a magic pen. So I'm just going to go in now and get a little bit of colour, and I like to sort of blend it a little bit, so I'm getting a lighter version. If I just went straight on, I'm getting quite a dark concentration, but if I sort of blend it out a bit, which is why I left a bit of space on the block, I've got a sort of a lighter amount happening. And you can also start on a scrap piece of paper, because it's like when you use a blending brush. So that first blob of ink can be quite intense. But you see as I go, and I turn the pen around, I'm getting it less intense. So I'm just going to go back in here, just a little bit off, and then I'm just going to colour these leaves, petals rather, with the tip of the pen. So by doing this, it's retaining the white space behind the flowers, whereas with the stamped background, you'll see that there's a lot more colour going to appear behind the flowers. So this is just a sort of a lighter concentration. And some of the flowers, they're just a suggestion. So on this detail one, I don't have a full petal here. And if you can see, this one here is just a line, but I can still add colour there just with my pen. So this is quite an intense colour. This is Petunia Pop, so it's quite a bright purpley pink. And it's actually doing quite well just with one. So I've only used the one lot of ink so far. And it's great for getting different levels of colour too. So if I actually do want some lighter flowers to appear, I can just keep going, or I can just add a little bit more to my pen. And the pen is fantastic because now that I've finished my colouring, put a bit more there. Now that I've finished the colouring, I can just rub the pen on my scrap paper until it goes clear. Okay, so now there's no more pink. That's just the wetness of the tip now. You can see all the pink went over here. Now I've just got the tip, and I can go ahead now and use that for a different colour. And like I say, both ends are the same. So it's a fabulous little tool for just getting that hint of colour there without it being so intense as if it was stamped. Okay. Now I'm going to start assembling. So these pieces here are just die cut from cardstock. And they were from the set, which has all the different leaves and other flowers as well that aren't stamped. They're just the extra die cuts. So that was one of those. And my intention is for these to sort of be at the back. And I'm just going to start sticking, I think. Otherwise I will muck around for ages trying to decide where to put things. So I'm just going to stick them on. Do you ever do that? And oh, it doesn't look right this way, and oh, it doesn't look right that way. Well, sometimes you've just got to bite the bullet. I want that sort of, and I'm conscious that I don't want things to stick over the edge too far because I want this to fit in my envelope. So just keep that in mind that that's a normal card width. And I've left space at the top but not at the sides. So I can go up but I can't go out. So I'm just putting a little bit of glue. As I do, I don't glue the whole thing. And I might put that one out there. And this one I think can go on a bit of an angle. Again, I don't want to go over the edge this way. Okay. So this one here, oh, I should have done one. Oh, actually, I think I've got one cut. Here we are. I was experimenting with different colours. So this is how the leaves cut out. So you stamp them and then die cut the shape, and they come out with this little ball piece on the top, and that's where I put the glue to attach the flower heads. So you'll see on the back here that that's where I've attached those little flowers. So again, I'm just putting glue randomly, not over the whole thing, as is my way. And I'm going to have this one sort of sticking up a bit. And then another one nearby. I liked the effect of having two lots of the same leaf, same flowers together. Sort of about there. And then I've got my long ones. You can, oh, there you can see the intensity of the dark ink. I think I hadn't stamped that off. I think that was full strength. Anyway, I digress. Just got enough room to slide that one down there. Okay, and I probably need to put in another one next to that. Put it on there. I want them fairly well the same height. I might just do it a little bit higher. Put it there. And tuck it under. And then I've got something that's going to fill that space. And then this one I thought I could get away with tucking at the back without a stem. Yeah, that will work. But I've only got that little bit there to attach it really. And I'll put that behind some leaves just so it doesn't all look so uniform. Okay, now I've got some other bits to slot in. Now this one might need to just have a little bit on the stem. Oh no, I can put some there too. Oh, actually, sorry, I haven't put the pink one in. I think I might have to do that first. So this one I wanted to sort of go in the middle. Like there. So a lot of fun making up your own floral bouquets. A bit too much over the other one. So it's just a matter of fiddling with them until you are happy with the placement. This one doesn't seem to want to go down any further for some reason. Should be quite happy to go down further. It's catching on something, but I'm not quite sure what. And I'm now starting to pull up the edge of that paper. Okay, I might just have to go like that, I think. Okay, it's nice, looking nice and full, that's the main thing. Okay, back to our little daisy here. Slide that in. And actually I might have to trim his, so that's the option. If you find something is hitting on that line of glue, you can just trim it back. That in there like that. Nice. And I've got another one here to go in that little spot. Yeah, I can do that. Okay. I like how I've got the darker leaves all here together and then the sort of the granny apple on that side. Okay, liking that. And then I've just got one flower left, which is to go here and just sort of cover that sort of a lot of leaves sort of there in the front and a little bit gappy looking, so I thought that could just go over that spot. So, and you'll notice, unusually for me, there are no dimensionals. Well, not yet anyway. Never say never. Actually, I'll go up a bit there. Right, so that's all I plan to do. You could probably put another flower in that side, but I haven't got anything prepared, so I'm just going to leave it. I think it's nice to see a little bit of the DSP in the background, and I chose that DSP because it was a little bit softer than having the petunia pop. The petunia pop being such a strong colour, any little gaps between the flowers, it really shone through. So just by dialing it down with that DSP in the background, the little gaps aren't so noticeable. Okay. So the next thing I wanted to do is use one of the words, and I've got a pre-stamped and die cut lovely here, and this comes in the other set, which is the Sweet Blooms. So I've stamped the word lovely and die cut it using the die. But I just wanted to show you my little tip for, get the die out, for lining it up, because these sort of stamps where you've got a big word and it's photopolymer, it's very easy to get it on your block, but it's not, when it die cuts you end up with sort of more edge than what you wanted. It's hard to explain. It's sort of out of kilter. So what I normally do with a stamp is I let it relax like that and then put the block on and do my stamping. However, when I first started using this lovely stamp, I found when I did the die cut that it wasn't quite in the right place, and that was a bit frustrating. So what I have done to get it lined up, and there are different ways of doing this, but this is the method that I have used. So I've got my die and I've got my stamp, and then I'm just going to position the stamp within the die. Actually, it's easier this way. So you see what I mean? How you can position it like that, and then when I go to die cut, that L would be totally in the wrong place. So I'm just laying it into the die, using the die as my guide for how the stamp should be set up. Like so. And then I can put my block on it. So this is the flat side of the die. I've got the of the stamp. This is the side that attaches to the block. So then I pick that up, and then I can just pull the die off, and the stamp will remain on there and in the right position. So then, and I even probably didn't quite get it right when I did it. It was either the setting it up or the actual cutting. See how I've got quite a thin amount of the Y here and quite a wide amount of white. So that's what I'm talking about. So I'm going to do that one again. And fingers crossed, I've got it better lined up now. So you do need quite a large piece of card for this. I was trying to think, oh, it's just a little word, but that Y and the L is actually quite large. So it takes a wider piece than what you think. Okay, so then I'm going to cut that out, and you'll see, I try and line it up here for you before I go to the machine. You should see how I've got most of the word showing. So I think that's a pretty good line up. So I'm just going to cut that, and we'll see how well I did. I'm paying particular attention to that L, which I didn't get much. And the Y, unfortunately, I can't actually see that. It's behind a thick piece of the metal. So I'm not going to know until I've cut if I've got that in the right place. But if everything else is lined up, then fingers crossed. I hold my mouth in the right way. Oh yeah, that's much better. So you'll see I've got that whole stamped edge. It is only a thin edge, so that's the one I did first. It is only a thin edge. I mean, that is okay. That's kind of how it is, but I have got a bit more of it there with my second attempt. So that I'm going to put on the front of the card. I just thought it worth mentioning that as a little trick that I use. And I'm going to stick this flat. I know. Am I? Should I do dimensionals? Because the flowers are kind of popping out, aren't they? Actually, maybe I will. Hadn't thought about doing that. So I'm going to use small ones. And I've actually got one here. I cut them in half to fit in my little tool things that fit on my desk for classes. So I've got these little half pieces. Very useful for little things like this. But you can also just cut, these are the mini ones. You can just cut them in half as well. So that piece would do there, and I think a whole one can go on the O. Just a matter of working your way along, figuring out what size you need for each piece. So I'm going to cut one in half here. For the L at the end. And probably need one there. And I might do some skinny bits. So with the edge pieces, they're quite good for cutting into thin pieces. Just put a thin piece there on the tail and maybe one more. On the other side, it's going to be quite thin. Perhaps a half a piece. Oh, now it's stuck to my finger. Okay. Put that down the bottom there. Hopefully that won't show too much. Okay, now we'll just pull all the backs off. That one's done, that one's done. That one. Oh. I think these make a beautiful birthday card for somebody, or Mother's Day. We've got Mother's Day. So I couldn't, you wouldn't get this in time for Mother's Day because it only is available on the 6th. Next year's Mother's Day. Okay, so I'm going to stick that about there. And then I've already gone ahead and what have I done? I've embossed. I've embossed the words have, a, and day. And I'm going to put them, actually I'm going to do them again because I'm not very happy. I used the buddy, but for some reason they didn't stamp particularly well. Sorry, they stamped well. It was the embossing. They had little bits everywhere. So I'm going to use a bit more intensely the buddy and try again with that stamp since I've got time. So I've just put both words there, have a and day. I've just put it all on one block, so it's one stamp. That in my powder. Oh, that's much better. Yeah, I think I waved the... I don't know what I did the first time, but it wasn't good. I had little bits of white everywhere. And I've got a paintbrush here somewhere. I do just have the odd little bit, but it's so much better. Last time it was all through the... around the words. Just a matter of slowly, carefully going around and just wiping off that extra powder. And I blow it as well, because that you're not touching it. If you loosen them, you can then just blow them away. Okay, so I'll just quickly heat set that. don't know if you can see the difference, but that was all the extra dots I had around the day compared to the new one. And there was bits around the A and the H on that one as well. So I'm glad I redid that. Just going to throw that one away. Right. And then with things this small, I tend to just cut with my scissors. I'll just unattach it, and then I'll do each word separately. So the main thing is just to make sure you don't chop anything off, like the Y or the H being a bit higher than the other words, other letters. And I'm just following the base of the letters there to just try and keep it straight. But something this small, you're not going to notice if it's not 100% straight. And it's kind of the look, you know, it's handmade. Okay. So I think because I've put dimensionals on the lovely, I'll also put dimensionals on these other words. Just use that leftover little piece. And just arrange it so it makes sense. Day at the bottom. Gosh, these little backings off the dimensional are sticking to my fingers. Okay. And then have A on a nice jaunty angle, maybe that way. Maybe not quite there. Now actually that is sloping up to the have. What I might do, it does bug me, is just chop it. Like that. And my dimensional is a bit close. Get down a bit. That's better. And it's a little bit more straight because that's on quite an angle, so not quite. Actually, it's almost like the same angle as day. Have a lovely day. Isn't that nice? Well, I would be very impressed if I got this card in the mail. I don't know about you. Yeah, quite happy with that. And the inner is a smaller version again because our base was smaller. And I wonder, I haven't actually used this stamp yet, this one here. So it's a different, can I do, yes, that's it. So this is also a two-step, but this one I'm going to, and you can do it with the other ones too, is you can place your flowers over the top of the leaves. So if I just swap out this one, and get each of those, and so when I'm relaxing my stamps, I don't want them on the glass mat because it's a little bit grippy, and if it was in the wrong position, like if it was sitting there like, I don't know, if it was in the wrong position, it wouldn't relax properly because that's a bit of a grippy surface. So I will do it on a piece of card. Okay. So I'm going to use the Granny Apple, which is the green I've used on the front. And I tend to do the leaves first. Make sure it's not too bubbly. No, looking good. I'm just going to put this down in the corner here. And it's a little bit hard to know how far in I can come, but we'll just try that. So now those gaps are where the flowers are going to sit. So I think I'm going to do petunia. So it ties back in with the colour we've used on the front. And this is quite a juicy pad, so again I'm just going to push some of the ink to the other end. And then just use this end for my... Now I might just test it. So I've got, oh, this is that bit we were using before. Let's lose the back. I'll just see how intense that's going to be if I do it full strength as opposed to stamped off. So I think I prefer the stamped off look with this. So I'll just use that again. Stamp off and then go here. So now what I'm looking through, I'm just trying to line up all of the stems, all of the flowers onto a stem. And that's the beauty with these clear stamps. There we go. Pretty. So pretty. I love that. Okay, now I'm just going to pop that inside. And I've done this card a different way for me. I don't generally do the cards in this where they open at the top. I normally do opening at the side, or I do the top the other way, the landscape way, but not the portrait way, which is what this is. Okay, so that's my inside, and my outside has my lovely bouquet bursting out of an envelope look card front. So I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial, and hopefully you've learned something. And I'd love it if you would put the Florals and Bloom suite on your wish list. I've sent out some of my catalogues, and the rest I'll be giving out in classes this month. But if you don't come to my classes and you haven't yet received a catalogue and you'd like one, so long as you don't already have a demonstrator, then I'd be happy to send you one. So please feel free to leave me a comment, and I'll get in touch and get your address and send you out a catalogue. And the catalogue goes live on the 6th of May, so only 5 days from now. Yeah. And don't forget the double rewards offer for the 2nd and 3rd of May, and also that joining offer. If that sparked something with you, then please do get in touch with me and ask me any questions you have. Otherwise, I will see you next week. Bye for now.